Hey guys, how we doing? Here we go. Football Talk with Hawk, episode 16. Heading into week 4 of college football, week 3 of the NFL. All right, guys. This is going to be more like we're going to do more like a normal talk show today. I have got the schedule back in here, so got a couple things I want to go over. First, opening up with the Colts. Listen, guys, this is my team. If you don't like them, perfectly fine. This is my team. A lot of heat has been around this week. A lot of things have been said. No moves have been made. Jim Irsay, to his credit, is a very patient man, the owner of the Indianapolis Colts. I don't think there is a, how do I put this? I don't think there is a fundamental problem. I believe there is a scheme and technique problem currently with the Indianapolis Colts. The technique that they are using from a coaching standpoint, the schemes that Frank Reich is using from a coaching standpoint, they just don't work. They're not good. They haven't been crisp. They haven't been solid. I did see today, actually, a little bit earlier, where somebody tweeted. I mean, that we've been 1-4, 1-5 in the past seasons. Problem is, we're not successful in those seasons, and we haven't been fine. We need to win this division this year. It is win this division, period. That is the goal. We need to win this division. That's the only way you make a playoff spot. Let's be honest. The AFC teams are going to come back. The AFC teams are going to come back. And you need to win the division. You have to win the division. So you got to play what you can. You got to play your best, and we got to start winning. We've at worst you expect to go 1-1. We don't even have a victory yet. We go into Kansas City this week. So I'm hoping the scheme is cleaned up this week. The offensive line is in shambles because of the two players that we have on there that are absolutely horrible. There's a graphic that came out after all the data was collected about the amount of separation we had. If you guys remember my recap video, I said they had 0. Basically, too many plays, they actually had a negative separation. Like they were in their hip pocket the whole time, or the defender had the yardage on them. Like it was horrible. Absolutely horrible. So that is the opening coin flip rant for then. Now let's get to college football, because doggone it, guys, this weekend I'm going to link a video. So I love listening to Joel Klatt, and he has a great way to fix the current scheduling issue. If you remember, one of my things I was talking about in last week's video, I think it was on Saturday, the picks video. But if you remember, I said not a lot of big games. Well, that's the problem. That is the problem. They don't have a lot of big out of conference games. I told you a lot of the small schools that had one got paid 1 point, whatever $1 million to go in and beat a team. I told you about the upsets. But we haven't seen any big games. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link a portion of the video, because they break it down for his thing. But absolutely go check out the Joel Klatt show. It's also on YouTube. It's fantastic for college football. Love it. He does 3 podcasts a week. I listen to every single one of them. But the way he wants to switch the scheduling in college football is the exact same way that the NFL schedules most of their schedule. So for those of you that don't know, the NFL is a rank system. There is one reason, and one reason alone, why the Colts and Patriots played basically every year for the better part of 10 to 12 years. That is because they were always number 1 in their divisions. In the NFL, in conference, So the AFC, the NFC, you have two conferences. In conference, you will play one entire division, everybody in that division. You will play all of your own teams in your own division twice. So that right there is 10 games. That's 10 games, okay? You will then play, now this is, the 17 game model is a little bit different with how they're going to do this. So I'm going to tell you how the 16 game model was, which is now 2 years old, but this is the thought process. In a 16 game schedule, you had 6 division opponents, 4 single division opponents from your conference side. There's 10. 10 of your 16 games are right there. You then played where you ended up. So if you finished last season second, you would play the second place team in the other 2 divisions in your conference. There are 4 divisions per conference. You play all of one, and you play your position opponent the other 2 times, 1 each. So in total, in your own conference, you would then play 6 games your own division, 12 games total in just the AFC. Then you would play a whole division from the NFC, 1 different division every year, and it rotates: NFC East, West, NFC South, NFC North. That's how the scheduling is done. He wants to adopt that idea, and I absolutely love it, because we have had 7 top 25 matchups in the first 3 weeks of college football, and it is when the start out matters. You got to get the hype up. You got to get stuff going. I remember on my the past video, my Tuesday morning video, I said, I'm wondering if we're not going to see good football till October. College football's kind of in the same zone right now. Like, college football's trapped in that zone of where you don't really see good football until all the division matchups come into play. Because, yeah, you got this game here and this game there. But even the good games. Now, let's think about this. Even probably one of the better games this year as far as, you've got Texas, Alabama. That was a good game. This past weekend, Michigan State and Washington. That was a fun game to watch. But the best game I thought was Kentucky versus Florida. I thought that was a fantastic game. I thought it was very well done. Florida and Utah. Those are the type of teams, the games that need to happen more often. And I love his concept of you take the Power 5 and you rotate it. You random drum. If you are number 1, number 2, in your conference, everybody that's number 1 or number 2 in all the conferences in the Power 5, so 10 teams, you play 2 of those other 10 teams. 1 home, 1 away. And then from the other conferences, so the Sun Belt, the American, the Conference USA, Conference USA, I think you switched something else, but like the MAC, the Mid-Atlantic Division, the Mountain West, you would then play 1 of those number 1 or number 2 teams at home. So you're playing your level, at least, of success, which then gives the teams at the bottom. This is why the NFL can change every year, because the schedule matters. This is why do not be surprised if the Texans or the Jaguars sneak in with 6 or 7 wins. Their schedule technically is easier. It's supposed to be. They were bad. The idea is to put the best against the best and allow the ones that are struggling the opportunity to grow. I love Joel Klatt's idea. He explains a lot better. Like I said, I will link it down in the description. Absolutely go check out his podcast if you love college football. I do. I love college football. It is something that I look forward to on every Saturday. Sitting down, watching college football. I love the amount of games there are. I love the intensity, the fans, the emotion and the passion behind it. It's better than the NFL when it comes to passion behind the game, because you've got kids, plus you've got adults, all together in one thing, and it's a bloodline, it's deep. Um, the NFL is definitely more of a business. I mean, for goodness sakes, Joe Hayden, the cornerback for the Browns and the Steelers, he played for the Browns and the Steelers. Like it's a business. You may have liked one more than the other, but you played for both, and they don't like each other. So there's that. There's my thing on the NCAA. But let's get to some picks because I there's a lot of young teams that are still undefeated, and hopefully they will end up undefeated after this weekend. The biggest one I love is Syracuse. Syracuse is home against Virginia on Friday night on ESPN. I love Syracuse as a football program. I love the dome they play in. I am one that, when I was coming in to loving football, I loved watching Michael Vick versus Donovan McNabb. I remember those two playing. I remember Frank Beamer's defense, and I remember memorizing almost all 11 players that were on those Virginia Tech defenses for 6 straight years. I love the Hokies, love Syracuse. Honestly, I hope Syracuse can keep it rolling. Hopefully, they'll be 5-0 before they play their first ranked opponent here in a couple weeks. But Friday night, you got Virginia versus Syracuse. Tonight, you got a rivalry. Tonight, you got the West Virginia Mountaineers from the Big 12 going over to play Virginia Tech. Now, this is an old Big East matchup. Big East dissolved. Most of them went to the American Athletic Conference as they reformed. But Syracuse and Virginia Tech, or not Syracuse, sorry. But Virginia Tech went to the ACC. And so did Syracuse, because Syracuse was in the Big East. Syracuse went over to the ACC as well. And Virginia Tech plays West Virginia tonight. Hopefully, I know it's called Lane Stadium. It's Hokie Stadium. Let's get it right. It is the home of the Hokies. The entrance, the Sandstorm entrance, it is rivaled by absolutely none. There is nobody that it rivals whatsoever. And I love it. Virginia Tech is a fantastic place to open up the week. So tonight's games, I got Virginia Tech over West Virginia. Tomorrow, I got Syracuse over Virginia. And then Saturday isn't really too much going on. But, basically it's going to be, I don't think IU can beat Cincinnati, honestly. They've been playing pretty rough. But if they do, they'd end up being 4-0, which I did not see happening. So, hey, we'll see what happens. But doggone it, there's my picks for 2 nights. Maybe I'll do some more on my Saturday morning video for NCAA. We do have a couple ranked matchups this week. But so tonight I got the Hokies, and tomorrow night I got the Orange. And all I can say is, let's go, Hokies. Good luck, Virginia Tech. All right, guys, let's move on to the next one here. Coach's Corner. I want to take a quick look at the new coaches in the NFL. We're 2 weeks in, going into week 3, and see where they're at, what they're doing, what the teams look like. So right off the bat, we had 2 play last week. One is an experienced former head coach, Lovie Smith. He knows what he's doing. The Texans played great week 1. They played pretty dang good week 2. They very easily could be 2-0 right now. Let's just be very honest with it. Then you've got the coach that was on the other side, Nathaniel Hackett, who is struggling a little bit with the transition and the change. So, honestly, between those 2 coaches, Hackett is struggling more, so I'd give him a C right now. Not really. He's got a lot to catch up on still. Lovie Smith, I'd give a B. Texans are playing fast. They're playing close games. They don't look outmatched in any of these games so far this year. They played the Colts. They played the Broncos. And in Denver, they looked pretty dang good. So those 2. Then you've got Mike McDaniel there at Miami. He's got an A. What a job he's done. The offense looks unique. The intensity of the defense is still there. I love what he's done with the play calling. I think they very well could, especially with the way it's shaping right now, could easily slide in the seventh or sixth wild card spot. 100%. I think Miami is a team to keep your eye out for. This week, we'll look at the games to watch, but sneak of that, Miami Buffalo this weekend, guys. I mean, Buffalo and Miami is basically the AFC East. That is what this week is. We'll see really how good Miami is. They got to stack up against Buffalo on the road. If they get blown out, maybe they're not quite there yet, which is fine. They don't have to be. But Mike McDaniel, fantastic job. Well done. Josh McDaniels for the Las Vegas Raiders. You should. I mean, the offensive line has been bad. Play calling's been okay. Honestly, you're sitting at a C plus B minus right now. You're 0-2. You got the heartbreak loss to a division opponent. So those losses are a little bit different. Division opponents are a lot different than playing somebody outside your division. You lost to the Chargers on the road, opening week, close, 25-19. But last week's loss to the Cardinals is why it's down to like a C plus. You had that game. You need to win that game. You need to pull your coaches together and figure out what we need to do to make sure 7 goal-to-go plays, they got to stop Kyler Murray. There's something has to happen. You got to do it. So I think he's going to be fine. I think it was a good hire. I think it's good for Derek Carr, good for Devontae Adams, good for the Raiders. But right now, 0-2 is 0-2, unfortunately. So there's that. Matt Eberflus in Chicago. You got a fluke win week 1. Very fluke win week 1. And then week 2, you got absolutely annihilated. The offense looks abysmal. The amount of yardage you've gained is abysmal. Your defense cannot stand up to anything. They're getting run over. Worse than a steamroller on pavement. Like, it is just bad. I did not like the Eberflus hire at all. Why you would go get a defensive coach like that? Like, not even one that's changing how defense is played. Like, the offensive coaches that are getting hired are the ones that are changing how play calling is done. The ones that have the schemes. The ones that are bright young minds. Kevin O'Connell, let's move straight into him. I don't want to bury somebody for too long. So Kevin O'Connell, Minnesota Vikings, 1-1, 2 B+. Kirk Cousins is still Monday Night Kirk Cousins, but you won at home in the opening over Green Bay. The play calling looks good. Justin Jefferson's got his targets. Thielen's got his targets. Got to run the ball a little bit more. Dalvin Cook wasn't used as much against Philadelphia, but that's because it kind of got thrown out. Really, if we're honest about it, he just kind of got thrown out there. But everything else looks pretty dang good. So Kevin O'Connell, I'm going to give a B to a B+ right now. Like where he's at, like what he's doing, like what's going on. One of my A's, Brian Daboll with the New York Giants. Absolutely amazing. He has got the Giants at 2-0, a win on the road against Tennessee, and then a win against Carolina. Well done. The turnovers are down. They understand who they are. He understands the weaknesses of the team, and he has coached around them. What a dang good job by Brian Daboll. Absolutely an A for him thus far. Where are they going to end up at the end of the year? I don't know. But he is aware. They're definitely not as talented. Their ceiling is really low, like really low. But they're winning the way they can, and they have an opportunity this week to go 3-0. Dennis Allen and the New Orleans Saints. We're going to give him a C. The defense has been okay, but you let Atlanta jump out to a huge lead, and then the offense just absolutely took a dive in the game against Tampa, where all you had to do was protect the football, and you probably would have won the game. So you're 1-1, and you should be 0-2. Dennis Allen is a great defensive coach. The defense, I don't think, is going to struggle, but I think that offense is going to be borderline ugly. It's got targets: Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, Kamara, but it's just the offense doesn't look great. The offense just does not look great. Um, there's really nothing else I can say. Really nothing else I can say. All right, the other A, I've got Doug Peterson with the Jacksonville Jaguars. That is an absolute A. And here is the reason why. The Jaguars should be 2-0. They're a young team. They let Washington come back. It's going to happen. Calm down. It's going to happen. But they have looked really good. They just dismantled the Indianapolis Colts. They're playing very confidently, very proud. They've got a game this weekend. If Herbert does not play for the Chargers, Jacksonville could definitely go 2-1 here in the first 3 weeks. Definitely go 2-1. Doug Peterson, the play calling is crisp. The play calling's new. He's using motion. He's using different looks, different formations. He's protecting Trevor Lawrence, making the right decisions with Trevor Lawrence and how you set up the offense and build around him. Doug Peterson was a great hire. Absolute great hire. I love what he's done. And dang it, that defense is scary. I'm sorry. That defense is scary. I've said it last year. Their front seven is not, you don't want to mess with them. Their back end is still soft. The secondary is still a little soft, but that front seven, dang, good luck. Good luck. All right, guys, here we go. Next one. 2 more segments, and then we are done with this video. Week 3 games to watch. I already mentioned Miami and Buffalo. Guys, you got to watch it. It's going to be the most watched game more than likely this week, outside of some of the primetime games. But the early game has got to be Miami-Buffalo. What a matchup. What a matchup. Is Miami ready to take the next step? And honestly, what success looks like for Miami this week is either you keep it within 10 points or you win the game. Winning the game would be above and beyond. Keep it within 10 points, and I think you're all set. Within 10 points, I would say you've got success, you have improvement, you are definitely on your way to being there. Minnesota against Detroit. Both teams are 1-1. This is the division game sitting right here. Minnesota's at home, but like I said, Detroit has started out so hot in their games. It is dangerous. They are deadly. Minnesota's going to have to be ready for a game where they have to jump out quick. I don't like the Detroit secondary against Justin Jefferson. I would absolutely suggest potentially playing a lot of players if you got fantasy. If you play fantasy football from this game, you're probably looking at a 35-38 game again. But that is a game to watch because those are 2 teams, one that I've got winning the division, and the other one I said could be a sleeper for the playoffs, depending on how the rest of this NFC kind of pans out here. So keep an eye on that game. Cardinals and the Rams. The Cardinals need to win. I know it's only week 3. They need to win. The Cardinals need to show that last week's struggle against the Raiders was just a struggle. They got obliterated by the Chiefs at home. If they get obliterated by the Rams at home early in the year when they're normally good, when they tend to be better, it's going to be rough. It's going to be really rough. And they could easily drop out of the playoff conversation really quick with the way their schedule lines up. They need to get a win. They have to take advantage of these home games against the better teams. They got to take advantage of those. I've got LA. That's what I got. I'm thinking LA is just going to go in there. Murray is uncomfortable. Murray does not look settled. Even at the end of the Las Vegas game, he didn't look good. I got the Rams. Buccaneers and Packers. This is an interesting game. Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to throw the football deep, and the Buccaneers have a great front four. So basically, it's going to be another game where it's probably 20-17. I don't know who wins. I'm not even going to try to figure out who wins. Basically, it's the defensive line for the Bucs making the dump-off throws even more prevalent for Aaron Rodgers, and whether or not the secondary for the Packers can. I mean, they're without Mike Evans, so Brady's got to throw to somebody. Who knows who? If the Bucs get the running game going, I don't know. The reason it's a game to watch is because you don't know what's going to happen. But it's Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers. Like, it's Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers. And the reality is these 2 teams could play each other in the playoffs. Buccaneers definitely look like they're going to win their division. Green Bay, though, if they lose, they're 1-2, and that playoff spot is looking a little less. Their offense hasn't looked good. Their offense has looked bad because of their quarterback. Because their quarterback refuses to be a team quarterback. So there's that game. Honestly, because of the slot it's at, it's going to get a lot of views. It's going to be watched. It could be a real snoozer. Like I said, 2017, whoever wins. Broncos and Niners. This is a huge game for both teams. Number one, Jimmy Garoppolo back starting for the Niners, which is why I'm worried about it for the Broncos. Garoppolo's comfortable in this system. Debo's being used. Jeff Wilson Jr. found another running back. Kyle Shanahan, what a shock. Finds another running back to be able to use. Denver and Nathaniel Hackett have to figure out their issues. Get them settled down. Get going. Russell Wilson knows how to beat the 49ers. He's done it many times. You got to play the game you need to play. You got to play fast. You got to play physical. You got to beat the 49ers up front. This is a huge game. It's going to be watched. It's televised. Sunday Night Football. This is a huge, huge game. Hopefully, Broncos can fix everything and it's a really good game and it doesn't end up being one of those games where it's just kind of sloppy. We've seen enough of those games already. We want good football back, and that is a matchup I cannot wait to see. Kyle Shanahan, Nathaniel Hackett. Does Nathaniel Hackett as a play caller match up? That is the question. He's got the star quarterback to do it. Can he match up on the field, defense against defense, offense against offense? That's going to be the question. I cannot wait to see it. And then a game that most people probably did not expect to be on this list, but I love the Monday night game. The Giants and Dallas is intriguing to me because if the Giants win, they're 3-0. And for Dallas, if Dallas wins, it's without Dak for a second straight week. Like your star quarterback that you're paying millions of dollars is not playing. And you won a game over Cincinnati at home because your defense just absolutely obliterated them. If that happens again, like, do you have a recipe here? Like, is Dak actually potentially a problem? That's going to be the conversation that takes place if Cooper Rush wins again. If Cooper Rush takes this, if he goes undefeated in his starts, how can you bench the guy? Besides the fact that you're paying Dak millions and millions of dollars. Like that's the only thing I'd be able to justify bringing Dak back in is because you're paying him the money to be the franchise quarterback. I'm looking forward to Monday Night Football. Giants, Cowboys. If the Giants win, they're 3-0 and keeping pace potentially, because I think Philly's going to beat Washington, but keeping pace for first in the division. And they'll be they'll be 2 games ahead of everybody else if they win. They'd be 2 games ahead of Washington, 2 games ahead of Dallas. They'd be sitting very comfortably in second place in the NFC East and potentially sneak in for a wild card berth. Like the playoff race starts immediately. You can't get behind a ton. You only have 17 games. After this week, you only have 14. You get down to it. Everybody says after Thanksgiving you can turn it on, but you don't want to be behind at Thanksgiving by a lot. You may want to be behind by 1 or 2 games. The Giants could have a 2-game lead after week 3 for second in the division and be looking at that point in time, they would be in the playoffs. Like that is a great step. I hope the Giants win. I'm picking the Giants. I hope the Giants win. I want the Giants to win. Brian Dable, I think, has done an amazing job. Absolutely love what he's done. Hope that works out for him. All right, guys. So for those of you that do not know, which are most of you, but there is one viewer that is watching that knows exactly what that final icon is. That is the helmet I made for our good friend Bill. He plays fantasy with us. He is a diehard Steelers fan. I love the guy to death. I have absolutely bashed the Steelers multiple times in these videos with basically just pumped a bunch of truth serum, of which they don't really want to swallow, and that's okay. But I have got the best saying ever ever. We were talking about the Colts, we were talking about the Steelers, the offensive line troubles, and everything else. And he said, and this is a quote. He said he's not worried about his offensive line because if worse comes to worse, they'll just move the defensive guys to the offensive side because at least then they'll know what the defense is trying to do. I love it. I freaking love it. Steelers fans are fantastic. I love Bill. He's got all Steeler players in our fantasy league. It's absolutely hilarious. The guy got crushed last week. Like it is awesome. And that is the best quote I have heard this week from a Steelers fan. And Bill, love you. Jeez. Just put defensive guys on the offensive line. Simple. There's the fix. Bill's got the fix for the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line worries. All right, guys. That is going to be it for today. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Looking forward to this weekend. Make sure to check out the picks video that'll be dropping on Saturday morning to get all the picks from myself, Dog, Penguin, and our locks. We went 4-0 with our locks last week. And Penguin had a really good week last week as well. So hopefully this week we can all have a good week. But we'll see what happens. But we'll get the picks from me and the guys, get our locks for the week, and get the fantasy suggestions for the week on Saturday morning. But for now, appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed. Like the video to help the channel rank up in the algorithm. It really does help me out a lot. Hitting that thumbs up does really help me out. So I appreciate everybody who has done that. Appreciate you for stopping by. Make sure to check out Joel Klatt's podcast. And like I said, I'll link that clip down in the description as well. So guys, until Saturday morning, have an absolutely great night. Remember my pick tonight, Cleveland versus Pittsburgh. I got the Brownies at home. I just think without TJ Watt, it's going to be a TJ Watt issue. The defense did solid last week. I just think it's a TJ Watt issue. Not enough pressure at the end of the day to be able to knock off Cleveland. Let's go 20-13 Cleveland over Pittsburgh tonight in Cleveland. Guys, that is it for me. Have a great day. Wings up, Hawk out, football on.